Hello, welcome to the training on math problems. Let's begin by reviewing what this portion of the study is about. First, you'll go over an orientation. So this training is designed to provide you with formulas relevant in geometry problems using area and perimeter, specifically those of rectangles, triangles, and irregular shapes. After this training, you will have to complete an assessment. All of these problems can be solved with information from this training. In the following slide, you will be provided an outline of the training that explains what each section covers and what to expect. In this portion of the study, you will be going over formulas concerning shapes. The first section will be on rectangles and the formulas for perimeter and area. The second section will be on triangles and the same thing, formulas for perimeter and area. And the final section will be on irregular shapes, again, formulas for perimeter and area. This section will be about rectangles. What you need to know about rectangles is that they are four-sided figures with four 90-degree angles and two sets of opposite parallel sides that are equal in length, such as that in the picture below. In order to find the perimeter of a rectangle, you need the following formula. The formula for perimeter here is base times 2 plus height times 2. So if we have a rectangle such as this one, we can note that these given numbers, for instance, 4 and 7, will be our base and our height. Now, as an example, if you need to find the perimeter of this rectangle, you can just fill in the formula given to you. So, we have 4, which is the base, times 2, plus 7, the height, times 2. Then we complete the formula. So 4 times 2 is 8. And then 7 times 2 is 14, and then we add those together to get the perimeter of 22 units. Now you will be given an example. In this example, Lily wants to place a wire fence around her rectangular yard. The dimensions of the fence are 20 feet by 10 feet. How much wire will she need to completely surround her yard? So we can imagine this rectangle below. And then we label it with the dimensions the problem gave us, so 20 feet by 10 feet. Now we can start with filling in the formula. So we know that her base is 20 feet, so it's going to be 20 times 2, and we also know the height is 10 feet, so 10 times 2. Now we complete those problems. So 20 times 2 is 40, and 10 times 2 is 20. And so we would do 40 plus 20 to get a perimeter of 60 feet. Now we'll be learning how to find the area of a rectangle. You need the following formula for area, which is base times height. In this rectangle, if we give it the dimensions of, let's say, 3 and 5, we know that the base is 3 and the measurement for height is 5. So if we're asked to find the area of this specific rectangle, we would do base times height, or 3 times 5, to find an area of 15 square units. Please note that formulas taught during this section of the training also apply to squares. In this example, a rectangular city block is divided into 32 plots of equal size. If the length of the block is made up of 8 plots, how many plots make up the width? So in this example, we have a rectangular city block, and we know that one of the dimensions, the length, is 8 plots. And we actually also know that the entire area is 32. So what we need to find here is the height, which we will label x for now. So let's do the formula, which is base times height. So we know our base, 8, times our unknown height, x, equals 32, the area. In order to find x, you would just need to divide both sides by 8. So x times 8 divided by 8 is just x, and then 32 divided by 8 would give us 4 plots. So our height is 4. In this section, we'll be talking about formulas for triangles. A triangle is a figure with 3 sides, such as the ones you see below. The formula for the perimeter of a triangle is as follows: adding side A plus side B plus side C. If we have the following triangle with dimensions of 6, 8, and 10, we have our side A, our side B, and our side C right here. So in order to find the perimeter, we would just add these 3 numbers, 6 plus 10, to get a total of 24 units for the perimeter. In this example, John went for a run in a triangular path. He ran 42 meters from his house to the park, then he ran 37 meters from the park to the river. From the river, he ran 61 meters back home. What was the total distance John covered? In this example, we can imagine a triangle as John's running path. So, here's John's running path, and we can now label it. So he ran 42 meters on one side, and then he ran another 37, and then back to the original point, he ran 61 meters. So in order to find this total distance, or the perimeter, we just add the three numbers, 42 plus 37 plus 61, and we get a total of 140 meters. This section will be covering the area of a triangle. In order to find the area of a triangle, we need the formula of base times height times half. So, in the following triangle, we are given dimensions 2 and 4. So our base is 4, and our height of this triangle is 2. So now we fill in the formula. 4, the base, times 2, the height, times 1/2 would equal 4 times 2, 8, divided by 2, or times 1/2, would be 4 square units. In this example, Shane is painting over a triangular section of wall. The section has a height of 9 feet and a base of 10 feet. How much area will Shane cover when he is done painting this section of wall? So let's imagine this is our section of wall. We have the dimensions of 9 and 10 feet, and then we can plug them into the formula. So we take our 10 and our 9, multiply them to get number 90, and then multiply that 90 by a half, which would give us 45 feet as the area. This next section is on irregular shapes. An irregular shape is a figure that does not contain sides or angles of equal length, so there are no specific formulas for these shapes. In order to find the perimeter of an irregular shape, all we have to do is add all the side measurements of this shape. So, for example, in this shape, we have a bunch of dimensions given to us. All we would have to do is add these numbers for a total of 38 units for the perimeter. In the following example, researchers laid out pieces of cheese for a lab mouse to follow. The mouse followed them, creating the shape below. Find the perimeter. So we have this shape here, and all we have to do is add every single side. So we would do 3 inches plus 3, starting from the top, then another 3 inches for that unfilled section, then plus 2, plus 9, plus another 2, plus the 3, and then again a 3 for the blank section, for a total of 28 inches. To find the area of irregular shapes, all we have to do is combine areas of smaller shapes. Earlier in this training, we learned 2 types of formulas for area, one for rectangle and one for triangle, and we will be using them to find the area of irregular shapes. For instance, we have this figure here. It looks like one big irregular shape, but it can actually be divided, like this, into 2 smaller shapes. In order to find the area of the shape, we can first use the rectangular area, which is base times height. So the numbers we'll be using are 4 times 6, like here, and we get an answer of 24. The next section we can look at is this triangular figure, using the triangular area of base times height times half. We have our dimensions of 3 times 4. We can do that times half to get an answer of 6. And then we would just combine these areas as follows. So we do 24 plus 6 equals 30 square units. In this example, Allison wants to cover her studio floor with a canvas. The room is the shape of a trapezoid with the parallel sides measuring 3 feet and 11 feet each, and the other 2 sides measuring 7 feet each. The distance between the parallel ends of the room is 6 feet. How much canvas will Allison need to completely cover the floor? So we can start by drawing out the figure of a trapezoid, like this. Then we fill in the dimensions. So we know the parallel sides are 3 and 11, the other 2 are 7. We're also given that the distance between the parallel ends, these ends, is 6 feet, so we fill that in as well. First, we see that there is a rectangular shape here, so we do base times height, or 3 times 6, to get 18. Next, we have to find our triangular measure, but we don't have the base of the triangle, right? So In order to find that, we can do 11, the bottom base, minus 3, which is the top base, and we'll have those empty spots of 8 total. But because we're only measuring this one triangle right now, we're going to do 8 divided by 2, and we get a measure of 4 for that base. Now we can look at how to fill in that formula. So we would do 6 times 4 times half, and then we would get 12. But because there are two triangles in this problem, we would do 12 times 2, and the measure would be 24. So we have an area of 18 and an area of 24, which we combine together to get a complete area of 42 feet. You will now be given a math assessment. You will be completing several example problems on your own. All the information you need to find solutions can be extracted from these problems. All the problems you will see can be solved by the rules provided in this training, both perimeter and area. You will be given an image, a word problem, or shape description along with the information needed to solve the given questions. You will have to compute the answers using this information.